Imagine a time when cars were luxury toys for the ultra-rich. And now, imagine one man comes along, and suddenly, millions of people can afford one. That man was Henry Ford. He didn't just build cars, he built a system, a vision, and a movement that transformed the way we live, work, and even think. But who exactly was Henry Ford? How did a farm boy from Michigan change the world of transportation forever? And how did his innovations go on to shape the 20th century? Welcome back to 1,000-Year Personalities. And in this episode, we're taking you on a journey through the engine of American innovation, the life and legacy of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was born on July 30th, 1863, in Dearborn, Michigan, on a modest farm. As a boy, he was fascinated not by crops, but by machines. At 15, he took apart his pocket watch just to see how it worked, and then put it back together. People started bringing him broken watches to fix. But Henry Ford had bigger gears turning in his mind. In 1879, he left the farm and moved to Detroit to become an apprentice machinist. This was the age of steam engines, ironworks, and smokestacks, and Ford was in the heart of it. By the 1890s, Ford was working at the Edison Illuminating Company, where he rose to become chief engineer. But after hours, he worked on something revolutionary, a gasoline-powered vehicle. In 1896, he completed his first self-propelled invention, the quadricycle. It looked like a metal skeleton on 4 bicycle wheels, but it worked. Even Thomas Edison was impressed, encouraging him to keep going. Ford believed that cars shouldn't be for the wealthy elite. "I will build a motor car for the great multitude," he once said, and he meant it. After a couple of failed ventures, in 1903, Henry Ford founded the Ford Motor Company. Unlike others, Ford wasn't interested in flashy design or high prices. In 1908, he introduced the Model T, a simple, reliable, and affordable car. It cost $825 when it launched. Over time, the price dropped to under $300. The Model T wasn't fancy, but it was tough, easy to maintain, and perfect for America's unpaved roads. The public went wild. Soon, everyone from farmers to factory workers was buying one. But the real magic wasn't just the car, it was how he built it. In 1913, Ford introduced something that changed not just the car industry, but manufacturing forever, the moving assembly line. Instead of one team building a whole car, each worker would do just one specialized task as the car frame moved past them. The results were astonishing. Production time dropped from 12 hours to just 90 minutes. Costs plummeted, output exploded. By 1927, Ford had sold over 15 million Model Ts. Factories across the world adopted this method, from food production to electronics. Ford didn't invent the assembly line, but he perfected it and made it a cornerstone of modern industry. In a bold move, Henry Ford made headlines again in 1914. He doubled worker wages to $5 a day, an unheard of sum at the time. People thought he was crazy, but Ford had a plan. Happy workers meant better productivity. And if workers made enough money, they could afford to buy the very cars they built. It was a new model of capitalism, welfare capitalism, where better pay wasn't just about kindness, but smart business. Thousands lined up at Ford's factories, turnover dropped, productivity soared. Ford became both admired and criticized, a symbol of industrial strength and social experimentation. Despite his success, Ford was a complicated figure. He was deeply controlling, monitoring workers' private lives through a sociological department to ensure they followed moral standards. He resisted labor unions, even using intimidation and violence to keep them out. By his own company. Ford's legacy, while brilliant in many ways, carries deep contradictions. Innovation on one hand, intolerance on the other. Ford's influence stretched far beyond cars. He helped reshape urban planning with roads and highways built for car travel. He changed the American lifestyle, from weekend road trips to drive-in culture. He even altered work culture with the 5-day, 40-hour work week becoming a norm. The phrase Fordism was coined to describe his blend of mass production and high wages. He proved that you could standardize production while still making products affordable for the masses. Factories in Russia, Germany, and Japan studied his model. Ford had become more than an industrialist. He was an architect of modern life. But success can lead to stagnation. Ford refused to update the Model T for years, even as competitors like General Motors introduced newer, flashier cars with more features and colors. Sales started to decline. By 1927, Ford finally ended production of the Model T and introduced the Model A. His son Edsel Ford took over more of the business, but Henry often overruled him. When Edsel died young in 1943, Ford, then in his 80s, briefly returned as president. But his health and leadership were failing. By 1945, he stepped down for good, and his grandson Henry Ford II took over the reins. Henry Ford died on April 7, 1947, at the age of 83. His funeral was attended by thousands, and his impact was undeniable. He was praised as the man who put the world on wheels, a genius of efficiency, a symbol of American industrial power. But he was also remembered for his faults, his authoritarianism, his resistance to change, and his prejudiced beliefs. Still, his contributions to mass production, industrial labor, and consumer culture remain foundational to the modern world. So what do we take from Henry Ford? He wasn't the inventor of the automobile, but he made it practical, affordable, and universal. He wasn't just building machines. He was building a new kind of society, a society where production lines moved faster than ever before, where workers were part of the consumer base, and where mobility became a basic freedom. His factories were the heartbeat of a new economic era. His ideas laid the